It started with small things, missed kisses, half-hearted hugs, and eyes that once met mine now always drifting somewhere else. At first, I thought it was just exhaustion. We'd both been busy, long hours at work, bills stacking up, life's noise drowning out the music we once danced to. But somewhere along the way, that distance stopped being temporary. It became her comfort zone. And I became the outsider looking in on my own marriage. That morning, I woke up early and made her breakfast, pancakes with blueberries, the way she liked them. I wanted to surprise her, maybe remind her that I still cared, that I still noticed. When she came down the stairs, hair messy but face glowing in the soft light, I smiled. "Morning, love," I said gently, holding out her plate. She gave me a small smile, polite, distant, the kind you give a neighbor, not a husband. "Thanks, but I'm not really hungry," she murmured, reaching for her phone instead. I tried to keep my tone light. "You've been skipping breakfast a lot lately. You need to eat." She sighed, the kind that carried irritation instead of affection. "Alex, please. Not today, okay?" The words stung, but I nodded, pretending it didn't matter. She walked past me, scrolling through her messages, the faintest smile touching her lips, not for me, but for whoever was on the other end of that screen. That's when I noticed it, the shift in her body language. She'd begun guarding herself around me, like physical closeness was something she had to protect herself from. Still, I brushed it off, convincing myself it was just stress. Until that evening. We were sitting on the couch, watching a movie we'd both used to love. The silence between us was heavy, unnatural. I reached out and gently placed my hand on hers, a simple gesture, the kind we'd shared countless times before. But this time, she pulled her hand away as if I'd burned her. "No touching today," she said flatly, eyes still on the screen. I froze. My hand hovered mid-air for a second before I withdrew it slowly. I didn't say anything, there was nothing to say that wouldn't sound desperate. I watched her from the corner of my eye, the woman I'd once known so deeply, now a stranger on my couch. She didn't even look at me. Her focus was on her phone again, a faint smirk tugging at her lips. That smirk, it wasn't innocent. I'd seen that expression before, back when she used to text me that way. Later that night, when she went upstairs to shower, her phone buzzed. I don't know what made me do it, maybe instinct, maybe desperation. I glanced at the screen. A name flashed, Ethan, followed by a message, "Can't wait to see you tomorrow." Same time? My chest tightened. Ethan. The name I'd seen before in her work stories, the colleague she claimed was just helping her with a project. I didn't need to read more. Everything suddenly made sense, the distance, the excuses, the no touching today. She wasn't avoiding intimacy out of exhaustion. She'd simply given it to someone else. I sat there for a long time, staring at her phone, the ache in my chest pulsing with every heartbeat. When she came downstairs, wrapped in a towel, her hair dripping, she smiled faintly and said, "You're still up?" I forced a small nod. "Yeah, just thinking." She didn't notice the hurt in my eyes, or maybe she did and just didn't care. She went to bed without another word. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay beside her, listening to the soft rhythm of her breathing, wondering when exactly she'd stopped loving me. Was it months ago? A year? Or had she fallen out of love slowly, like a candle burning itself out? By morning, I'd made my decision. I wasn't going to confront her, shout, or beg for truth. I wasn't going to demand explanations that would only twist the knife deeper. She'd already said everything she needed to, in silence, in avoidance, and finally, in 6 words that broke me, "No touching today." So, I decided to disappear, quietly, completely. Before leaving for work, I brewed her coffee, left it on the counter like I always did. I placed my wedding ring next to it, along with a folded note that read simply, "You said no touching today. I'll make it easier, no talking, no seeing, no pretending tomorrow. I'll become what I already am to you, a stranger." Then I packed a small bag, just the essentials. My clothes, my laptop, my car keys. I looked around our house, the photos of us laughing, the memories captured on walls that no longer felt like home. I didn't take a single picture with me. When she woke up, I was already gone. She called once, I ignored it. Then twice, then 5 times. A few hours later, a message came, Alex, what's going on? Where are you? I didn't reply. Because there was nothing to say. Days passed before I finally heard from her again. This time, her tone had shifted. Please, can we talk, she wrote. I made a mistake. I didn't mean what I said. But she did. She meant every word when she pushed me away, when she laughed at her phone instead of looking at me, when she told me I wasn't allowed to touch her, not even her hand. So I stayed silent. I became exactly what I promised I'd be, a stranger. Weeks later, a mutual friend mentioned that she'd broken things off with Ethan. Apparently, he'd used her, left her the moment things got complicated. I felt no joy, no satisfaction, just an odd kind of emptiness. Sometimes, late at night, I still think about her. About the way she used to trace circles on my chest when we talked, the way her laugh once felt like music. But then I remember that morning, the tone in her voice when she said, no touching today. That was the moment I realized love doesn't die with shouting matches or grand betrayals. Sometimes, it just fades quietly, killed by indifference, by avoidance, by the slow decay of connection. I could have fought for her. I could have demanded answers. But she'd already drawn her line in the sand. All I did was respect it, permanently. Because when someone you love looks at your touch like it's a burden, the kindest thing you can do is stop reaching. And that's exactly what I did. She said, no touching today. So I decided to become a stranger forever.